and welcome to another episode of Musso. We are your hosts, Hadi, Ngone, and Gemma. On this podcast, we share a microphone for fresh conversations on current affairs and women's realities beyond a single story. Ngo and Gemma, I hope you're both doing well today. How has your week been so far?
Great. Yes. It's been hectic, but in a good way, Hectic, you're doing something you're glad to be doing. So, yeah. Great. And I just had kebab, so, Yes.
Whatever.
I had a good weekend. Restful, and I think that's really what weekends are for. So I had a good weekend, looking forward to an amazing week. There's the work to be done, of course, but yep.
I'm glad to hear that. Ngone, I can't believe you refused to choose the baby girl life. Gemma, I'm glad you're resting.
We out here, chop life before life.
I want a glucose papa, but nobody wants to pick me, so,
Wow, Ngo, big feminist like you asking for sugar daddy.
Who said sugar daddy? I said glucose papa. I don't know where you heard sugar
For
daddy
shame.
from. This is why you people are suffering and your mates are living baby girl lives. I beg.
I did not come here to be
Me too, I want
today.
baby girl life.
Me, I'm doing baby girl life one way or another. I have been actually so good this week because I took like 2 days off and just didn't work at all, which is a big deal for me. I remember
Wow.
the first,
We need to give you an
first day,
award
I
for
was
that.
thinking,
Wow.
"Ha,
Are you sure
Funny.
you're okay?
look, the first day I was sitting here, it was 5 p.m. and I was so bored. I was like, you know what, maybe I have to take my laptop and work. But then I stopped myself. I said, there's more to life than clocking in and clocking out on the white man's time.
To be
So I
honest.
stopped.
I am impressed.
Ask her tomorrow nga hol na dula joha a totally different point of view. Anyway.
And I wouldn't be surprised to get that anyway. But yes, we're happy. We're happy for you. We're proud of you.
You should love yourself more.
We're all getting there slowly. But it's funny because with you people, it's the pot calling the kettle black. Because we're all on the same boat. But anyway, that's a story for another day. Today, I'm gonna share our quote of the week before we jump into today's episode. This quote goes, "Confidence and humility can easily coexist. One requires we embrace our strengths, and the other that we are aware of our weaknesses." I think this is really, really important because we come from a community that is so hell-bent on embracing humility by force. And I don't even know if we can completely embrace humility given the way that we tend to define it. Yeah, so how would you both, let's start with Gemma, how would you define humility?
You're asking the wrong person. I am the biggest advocate for humble for what?
Humble for what?
I'm the humble for what ambassador, But for me, I don't know. Do I have definitions for what humility is? I'm not too sure. I would say for me, it really means just being grounded in your self-awareness. In an awareness of self, in an awareness of your positionalities, when you find yourself in community. And I don't know, that's really what it is for me. Ask me about pride. Ask me about celebration and being loud about your wins, and I will have a better response. But for me, basically, that's what it is. I just have to say it really is nothing close to what we are basically forced to believe is what humility means. For me, it's so many other different things. It's the modesty that's linked to spirituality for me. It's basically just how I can ground myself in my reality, ground myself in my experiences, and also how I situate that in relation to the experiences of other people around me.
I love that.
Sorry guy, wax na yep. Ni jaay tojati nga yax bi.
Yes, I.
Yeah, but I think for me, humility is a trait which manifests in your relationship with people, the way you interact with people, especially persons or people who are not necessarily from the same socioeconomic background as you. Ning leen di xoolee ni nga jëflante ak ñoom, and the respect that you give to people. I think for me that is how humility is or should be manifested, because for me humility has or shouldn't have anything to do with your goals or your accomplishments and what you do with those things. For me, Dal, yes, humility is the way you present yourself and the way you interact with people, how you treat people, respect being lendi joh, and cheer being lendi joh dal. For me, that's how humility is manifest. Not really not the way hamga, the way our people see or define humility. No.
You guys are just talking about our people, our people. How do our people define humility?
Playing small, full stop.
Wàññi sa boppa, xeeblu sa boppa,
In the simplest terms, really,
tuutal sa boppa.
that's what it is for me.
Yeah.
It's playing small, muting
small.
yourself, muting your glory, your accomplishments, everything that makes you in the positive sense. Just pack it in a corner and sit on it.
And praising everyone for your achievement, or thanking everyone for your achievement, and forgetting
Yourself.
to thank and uplift yourself for doing what needed to be done to get you to that place. Even though, yes, for us as believers, we believe that whatever we do is made possible by God's grace and blessings. But lu baax suñu dalee when we have, or when we're blessed with something, we want to thank other people. If it were not for this person, for that person, yes, those people were influential, but woman, you did that.
Yep.
You did that, and you need to own that
Claim
yes, I did that. The way our people define humility, like Jama said, playing small, acting like hamga, yo do dara. No, please, you're something. You're
a
Anyway.
lot, actually. You're a lot. You're
a
so
lot.
many different things. And for me, I think that misinterpretation can be so unfair to people, because then it's that understanding of, I am humble because I don't, praise myself. I don't celebrate my achievements. I don't celebrate my magnificence and everything that I am. Doing that is what makes me humble. And for me, really, I don't subscribe to that school of thought. So
what Gemma said just reminded me of how with with the way we define humility as well.
let's call it Gambian humility.
Gambian with Gambian humility, you have to remind people that you're humble. Understand? It's like you're always saying, I am humble, or I am. If you're humble, you don't need to say it. People can detect, or people can detect humility by your actions and the way you present yourself, but you don't need to constantly remind people that you're humble. And I think in the Gambia, that's how we define a humble person: someone who's constantly reminding us that they're humble, and that's why they got to where they were, or they were humbled by whatever happened to them, blah blah blah. No, and please, no, this is no shade. This is just as it is. This is how we are as a people. We like to say, I am humble, I am this, I am that. Please, if you were humble, you wouldn't say it. And there's nothing wrong in achieving your goals and your dreams and celebrating those goals and your dreams. Yeah.
No, and I think since you brought it up with the whole false humility thing, I think we have this issue where being false humble, it strips us of our ability to be critical with ourselves. Because there's no room for growth. You can just sit there and say, oh, I'm humble, and then that's it. So no one can really criticize. And criticism is very important, by the way. So no one can tell you what to do or anything, because you have apparently brought yourself down to like a bottom tier level. And I see this a lot. And even just outside of this whole narrative of false humility, I see it so much with, as something that should be ascribed to women and African women in general, because it's like you're told that if you're not humble, then you're immodest. We see this a lot with African women in terms of like, it's ingrained at a young age that you have to be modest, you have to be meek more than anything, and mild. Yeah, so it's like we attribute. It's not a strength when you look at it in the way that we're forced to take it in, because that's, I guess, Gambia, we tend to conflate religion with a lot of we misinterpret religion. I think that's what it is. Because when for me, when I think about modesty, I don't think about, oh, I need to limit myself, I need to be a smaller person, I need to physically, I can't even be a smaller person anyway, but I need to bring myself down on so many levels just so that I can look like I'm a good woman. It's complete crap, because I can, my friends will tell you straight up, I'm not modest. I'm not a modest individual when it comes to my looks, when it comes to a bunch of different things. I mean, I still struggle with like, feeling like I'm not doing enough with work and with all my other 50-10 responsibilities. I know I need to be less modest in that space. But in the spaces that I am not modest in at all, my friends will tell you. If you tell me I look good, I'm going to tell you I know before I say thank you.
I love it when women do that.
People get upset about it though. Like, who do you think you are? Can't you just say thank you?
Why are you saying I know instead of thank you?
I'm just affirming your point. You pointed out a fact and I'm affirming that fact. Why are you pissed?
And the thing is, there are people who get used to you saying that and they'll accept that, but then there are people who'd always give you the side eye, like, yo, don't humble sa bopa, yo emulo, yo danga ri, like danga these or things like that. Like, please.
With women, you can't be something unless someone affirms it.
Yep.
And I think that's really where the offense comes from, because it's like, okay, I'm saying this, I'm kind of validating what you probably already know, but I don't need you to confirm to me that you already know this anyway. That, so for me, that's, again, it comes back to the point around my definition. It's that your awareness of self. It's how much you are aware of who you are, of what you do, what you represent, what it means, what results it leads to, and what those results also mean, not just for you but your community, the wider community. And that's what it comes back to for me, because why are you mad that a person has decided to affirm what you are telling them? If anything at all, it's just, okay,
imagine not knowing that, like, you're a good looking person and always waiting for someone to remind you and then having to thank them for reminding you. Please, we have mirrors, we know. You people are not humble at all.
No, but it's little things like that. It's little things like that, from like literally like beauty, where someone else has to tell you you're beautiful, number one, to also like celebrating wins or not celebrating wins, because like you have to deny yourself that, that success, that sweetness of success when it comes. We can go on and on and on about our failures, but then when it comes to celebrating our successes, all of a sudden there's no humility in that. Which is bullshit, because they're two sides of the same coin. So if we can be open about one, then we have to be able to be open about the other.
Absolutely.
So, and denying our successes to make others feel better also is complete crap, because even if we're quiet about it, that doesn't change the fact that something happened. So be it good or be it bad.
No, I mean, it's just so it's fact, right? Everything that you're saying. And even, so we keep talking about how, sometimes it prevents us from celebrating our successes. Maybe because we don't want to make other people uncomfortable. Maybe because we feel like, people are not going to like it. Obviously, there's the whole conversation on chat and evil eye and whatnot. But for me, I feel like even the times where you see people come out and share, it's this one line that always just frustrates me out of this life. It's, I am humbled to let you know. I am humbled to share. I am humbled to be nominated. I am humbled to have, like, I am honored. And every time I do edits for people with regards, like, some of the things they put out, I make sure to take that out. Because for me, I feel like it really downplays everything that you have done to get to that point.
Absolutely.
It really downplays all of the efforts that you have put in, that you know about. You understand? That allowed you to get to that point where you are celebrating, or where you're supposed to celebrate. But you're not allowing yourself to celebrate fully because you're afraid of what people will say. So how are you going to live if so they don't feel you're afraid of what people will say? So then I'm gonna succeed. You're afraid of what people will say. What state exactly are we supposed to exist in? This is what it is for me. And again, it goes beyond just even celebrations of achievements, or celebration of self, or celebration of other people even, because sometimes it extends to that. For me, it's so a year or two ago, I can't even remember when, that's when I wrote that blog on Humble for What. And I wrote that after coming to a very, very important realization for myself, that despite everything I do, despite all of the things that I achieve, I still have not completely unlearned playing small. And a lot of it is tied to just how, I try as much as possible to not have people saying, oh, her again. It's her again. I had to unlearn that. And when I came to that realization, I wrote humble for what? And I put it out there with my chest. And I am like, humility can be overrated, especially in the Gambian context. And the reason why I wrote it, I was reflecting on my journey, right? And the opportunities that I've had to be part of, like, spaces outside of the Gambia. So you go for international trainings, for example, or workshops, or, you know, retreats or conferences, and you meet people from other countries, and you begin to have conversations, especially people who are working in the same areas as you are. You start to have conversations with them, and you begin to get into, like, the work that you do, the work that you've been able to do in the past, what results that has earned, and you realize it's a huge problem for Gambians. We just don't understand packaging our work. We don't understand packaging our efforts. And this has an effect sometimes on how far we can go. I like to use the example of Ghanaians and Nigerians. Like, you meet these people in any place, they do one small thing, they will package it so well and sell it to you.
They know
you
how
would
to sell
think
themselves.
exactly. And then you realize, oh, this thing that they are doing and, you know, getting a lot of support for, a lot of credit for, I did this like 7 years ago. You understand? But it's not because what you did was not valuable. It's not because what you did was not worthy. It's simply because you did not communicate it. And I think this is really why I'm passionate about it, because all of this is really about communicating on your work and your results. So for me, when I say, you know, humility, what, sometimes I say it jokingly, but it's also really coming from a real point of concern where I am thinking about all of the many things that we are possibly missing out on, especially as women, simply because we want to fit the mold of humility. And I really, really want better for my sisters.
No, to be honest, I feel like as women, especially Gambian women, we're losing out or missing out on a lot of opportunities because we keep downplaying the work that we do. And, you know, our achievements, basically. A few days ago, somebody asked me to send them my CV and a bio. So I sent them, updated my CV, sent it to them, sent them my bio, and the person sent me a message again, and they were like, why didn't you include this and this and this? I know you did this and blah, blah, blah. Like, why is none of that on your bio? And I'm like, oh, I didn't think that was relevant, right? Because I didn't want to put all of, and then, because now the person has said I have to edit the bio, I went to edit the bio, and as I was editing, I was like, oh, okay, right, okay. And then, you know, I had like almost a full page, and I was like, okay. So I guess this is what they meant. But yeah, but imagine if that person did not care enough to remind me that there are many other things that I'm doing that I haven't included in the bio. And maybe that could have cost me something. And Hamga, like, you keep thinking, then you think back on things that you've applied for, things that you've tried to get. And maybe there's a possibility that you didn't get them because they were things, or, you know, important things that you have done, that you've achieved, that you didn't include in maybe that application because you're not trying to seem like you're bragging, right? Because I think that's the thing. You here, when you talk about your achievements, it's like yange hajan, yange bluff, like you're bragging. Basically, you're bragging, and you're not supposed to brag about your achievements. And there's a difference between, you know, celebrating your achievements and bragging about your achievements. And everyone has a right to brag about their achievements. If you work hard for something, you have a right to brag to brag about that thing. But then we shouldn't equate celebrating your wins to bragging about your wins. You're recognizing that I have done this by God's grace, or whatever you believe, by whatever's grace. I'm able to achieve this. I've worked hard for this, and I should be able to celebrate that. And that takes, or should not take away anything from your perceived humility or whatever society defines as being humble. So that's why we say humble for what?
And even
for who?
And even before celebrating, honestly, even before celebrating, acknowledging is one thing.
Yep.
We really struggle with that. I know for me, like sometimes, like in my like the reflexivity portion of my PhD, I remember even with the first few iterations, like my supervisor's comments would always be like, "Why are you selling yourself short?" Because like, you know, honestly, because I had done, even Gemma, you sometimes, like, I remember every time I'm applying for stuff, you're like, don't forget to add that, don't forget to add that. Yep. But it's like, for me, it's like these things that I've done come up in casual conversation, and I act like it's nothing. And then someone will look at me and they're like, wait, you did all of that? And I'm like, yeah, but it was whatever. They're like, no, it's not that it was whatever. Like, you have done a lot. But then you can't even acknowledge it or see it for yourself because it's like you've been told for so long that you have to limit yourself, that you shouldn't be too bold and too loud with your accomplishments or what you're able to accomplish.
For me, I think that's why, like, I don't know, I'm really passionate about this. And it really comes from the point you make, Hadi. Like, I find myself in a situation where I do that a lot. Like, I review people's applications, especially when it comes to their, like, motivation letters and stuff. And I am always like, what is wrong with you? Why are you not putting this in? Why are you not putting that in? Why are you not putting that other thing in? And I realize I'm able to say this because I know the person. You understand? I know what they have done, and I know how that particular experience could be useful to whatever it is they're trying to seek or trying to achieve. You understand? And so for me, that is why it is important, because then they do it and it's like, oh, buguma live in here, foguma one and narrowly when I'm a fog body top. That's the opportunity you have, especially when it comes to like written applications or written opportunities. That's the only thing they're seeing. You're not there to speak for yourself. You're not there to, provide details on what you have submitted. What you submit is what they are using as a marker to determine whether you would get whatever it is they have on offer or not. And so that's what you need to sell yourself. That's what you need to get to the next stage where maybe you can now face them and say what you want to say. And so for me, I'm always like, stop shortchanging yourself. Stop selling yourself short. You're not going to harm anyone if you celebrate and acknowledge and articulate every single thing that you have done that's relevant to the opportunity that you're seeking. And sometimes it's not even just about opportunities. Just you can do it to feel good about yourself, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And for me, this is my crusade. This is my crusade. Like, I really want better for our sisters, and better must come.
I think it's good. I think it's good that you mentioned our sisters, sir, because for one, we're trained to be humble from childhood, especially as girls and young women. From childhood, that humility is forced on you. If you have male siblings and things like that, and even where you live, for example, in an extended family situation, and maybe you're doing better than some of your extended family members, it's like you're not even supposed to celebrate that to an extent, because you're buying other people to feel bad about the things or the blessings that you have. And that's a problem, and it also manifests in husband and wife relationships.
In the harmful traditional practice known as marriage.
Every episode there's a special appearance of that. Every episode
you need to leave that phrase, Hadi. Bahna. Anyway, but it's a harmful traditional practice for women. Anyway, again, what I'm trying to say with that is, you see that in marriages, especially where the woman is doing better than the husband, maybe because they have a better paying job, or just generally they're in a better financial or social situation, the woman would be required to play small with their achievements, just so okay, I'm going to not all men this before you come for us, because yes, not all men are that insecure, but a lot of men are insecure to an extent that their wives, even when they get promotions, when they receive grants or whatever for their projects, they downplay it because they don't want their husband to feel a certain way, feeling like your wife is about to take over your mom. So legi, if they earn this much money, or if they're earning more than you, they wouldn't listen to you. You effectively lose control over them. So because of all of that, married women are also forced to play humble. Play humble, make yourself seem small in front of your husband, so that he wouldn't be emasculated, basically. So Gambian humility, big problem for everyone.
Insecure man must leave hot girl alone.
Yes,
exactly. That's been my favorite
yes.
quote. No, but I'm really, really glad that you brought it up, because it's such a big thing where it's like, it's not like, it's other women that will actually tell you to play small to preserve the harmful traditional space that you're in. Because they'll be the ones to tell you that that's how you have peace in your house, by making yourself small, by diminishing yourself, just for the sake of man,
But then maybe they're saying that from experience as well. Because even if you haven't lived it, there's a high chance that you've seen a woman who has done well in her career and has ended up having problems with their husband, because they feel like, because of the things that she is earning and she can do for herself, she's no longer humble, so she's no longer subservient and her husband has lost control of her. So because of that, I think women also use this as a humility as a defense mechanism to protect themselves, and a survival mechanism to protect themselves and to protect the things that are dear to them. And in patriarchal society, the key one is marriage. So yeah,
I feel like it sometimes even goes beyond that, beyond just like maybe the women who are sharing survival tips. I think it even goes on to how men also just use that to sort of exert control. Because we've had the many stories of women who are progressing, especially with their careers, and you get to a point where the husband becomes so overbearing and so insufferable, even going to an extent of telling you, resign, you understand? So all of a sudden, all of those issues start to come in because you are rising, you're going up the ladder. And going up the ladder is only okay for them if they are up higher than you are. But once you start to go higher, then that becomes a problem for a lot of them. And so for me, it's also just how it opens up that space for the continued control over what women can do and how far they can go with celebrating their achievements, but also just how celebrating their achievements could build their confidence some more, could lead them to even better performance, which could also lead them to even greater heights. And because for me, it's a successive thing. It's gradual. It's one thing feeding into another, and then that's how you see the results. But yeah, I mean, it's really, really harmful. We joke about it a lot. We talk about it a lot, but when we really pause and think about the consequences and the impact it has on people, I think it's really important we try to interrogate that.
Okay, so I'm going to be out of pocket just for 1 second before we go on break. And I'm going to go ahead and say that if you're dealing with a man that is just being insufferable because you're great, please leave him. Men are not, they don't slap like that. Thank you very much for coming to my TED Talk.
I think there's this quote that says like the type of man that is going to be intimidated by my success or my voice or something around that is exactly the kind of man that I don't want in my life. And I swear by that quote. And it applies to all kinds of people anyway.
Before we go to the break, I think we should also highlight this quote, which says, "Humility is often a feigned submissiveness by which men hope to bring other people to submit to them. It is a more calculated sort of pride." So that just ties into everything we just said, and
very, very calculated.
Okay. Let that marinate.
Think on that before we come back. So we're gonna take a quick break now, and we will be back shortly. Welcome back, listeners. Again, we are your hosts, Hadi, Jama, and Gone. In this episode, we continue to talk about humility, or rather, fake humility. So,
AKA humble
as
for
we
what?
were saying, humble for what? Humble for who? Humble for how? Humble for why? Humble for what? Thank you very much. So I think it's important that we also discuss like the exhaustion that just comes with being fake humble. Because honestly, it's so much harder to swallow and keep swallowing things that, you've done and things that you are being forced to be humble about when you can just let it out.
I mean, when it comes to it, a lot of it is a performance. You understand? And when you're in constant performance mode, that can be exhausting. You understand? Because when things are natural, obviously you're not putting in a lot of energy into performing, I guess. It comes naturally to you. But when you are in constant performance, I mean, even actors, they rest. Even stage plays, they at some point. But then when you have to keep up a performance, I think that's really where the exhaustion comes in, because everywhere you are, you're going to have to keep to that standard that you have performed. You understand? So you're not being your true self, you're not being your real self. You are having to live up to that image that you have created. And like Ngone has said, always having to remind people that this is who I am. I am about humility, I am humble. And there's this really interesting and nice quote that we have.
You people are just throwing around quotes today.
I love this one because it says humility is so shy. If you begin talking about it, it leaves. And for me, like that just says it all, because I don't know. I think it's what Ngone has said in her definition as well. It is something that people pick up from you based on your relations with them, based on your dealings with them, based on your engagements with them. I can sit here and say Ngo is a humble person, or Ngo operates in a space of humility. You understand? And it is genuine, because this is what I have genuinely appreciated about you, because that's what I have experienced. So for me, it's really counterproductive. It's really counter everything if we're in a situation where we're glorifying humility in its real sense, but then we're having to remind. So I come on here and I'm like, you guys, I'm a very humble person. For me, it beats the purpose. It betrays the whole purpose of what humility is. It is for the people that I deal with to determine, based on my dealings with them and based on my interactions with them, whether I am a humble person. You understand? Or whether, because I don't even like the idea of a humble person. I mean, humility is a value or whatever that you have as a part of you, in addition to all of the other things that make you who you are. So it's basically just in how you operate. So it's for people to appreciate the humility with which you approach, certain things, or that you approach your relationships, or that you approach your engagements with people. That's
your God with.
Exactly. So for me, that's really where the ultimate humility comes in. It's really where nobody's watching. Who are you? So there's that thing about who are you when nobody's watching? Who are you when the cameras are off? Who are you when the mics are off? When you sit with yourself, do you really believe that this is who you are? And at the end of the day, who are you performing
That
for?
sounds like like Beyonce said that in Pretty Hurts. It's like, are you happy with yourself?
Exactly.
Are you happy with yourself,
So the performance really is what's exhausting. And I feel like if people are naturally who they are, you embrace everything that you are, good and bad. You're also in a position of mastery of your emotions, of your feelings, and you're able to navigate your life more effectively. Because at the end of the day, that stage you're getting on to perform, that humility, is a state that people are going to leave anyway. And they're going to leave you there alone. So again, humble for what?
No, what I was gonna say is that with this humility thing too, I think it breeds ground for abuse, because how I'm looking at it is that sometimes our abusers are the ones that are most publicly humble, and then it gets to the point where if you want to report someone as being a horrible human being, that like they've already put this persona out there that they're humble, and it's like, how could a humble person ever do this and that, as if humility is the trademarker for being a good person.
And another aspect of abuse that we should look at is, if you're always playing humble and downplaying yourself and your achievements, it leaves you open to abuse. It's like people can come and harm you, do really horrible things to you. Or you could be working for someone or with someone and they'll be treating you in a very bad way. But because you're a quote-unquote humble person, you wouldn't even, or you would think it is wrong to say something to upset that person, because you would be seen in a different light. If you fight for yourself or stand up for yourself, you could be seen as an arrogant person. So because you want to play humility and you want to be this perfect example of a humble person, you just suck up everything because you want to play humble. No, you have to protect yourself. So yes, humility can be used by abusers as a protective measure, but it could also be used to abuse you. And I was also going to add to what Gemma said is that I think in life what we have to aspire to is self-awareness. Like she said, knowing who you are, what kind of person you are, and who you are when the lights are off, the cameras are off, are you happy with yourself? Are you happy with the person that you are? Because, like my dad said, he said to me one time that, do what you want. Say whatever is on your mind, as long as when you go to bed, your conscience is clear. Because today or the way you're acting, that's genuinely and truly who you are, then you shouldn't worry about what anyone else says or what anyone thinks of you. So if your reason for celebrating your wins is to acknowledge the hard work that went into that and acknowledge that you're a great person and you deserve great things, then you really shouldn't care what people say about you celebrating yourself or you acknowledging your win. What's important is that your conscience is clear. You know that I'm celebrating this win because I put so much work into this and I deserve to celebrate it, or this win deserves to be celebrated. That's it. So and
the annoying thing is when you do it because you feel, better than you, not celebrating doesn't change that situation.
Don't shake the table I'm sitting on, please.
It doesn't change that. I'm actually dragging you now.
Don't shake the table.
It doesn't change the fact that this is what the reality is. You understand? So when I'm not peg or when I'm going to celebrate, and I mean, celebrating is not always just loud as well. Because sometimes I think that's also the misconception that people have. It's not always loud. It's not like, okay, I'm going to put them social media before I can consider it a celebration. You understand? You can determine for yourself what celebration looks like for you. And then you do that. But even Lulu, do they allow for the space to do that? And that's what annoys me. And for me, I think it also comes from the root of how we just conflate pride and arrogance.
Yeah.
You understand? In Gambia, people don't understand the difference between pride and arrogance. That I can be proud of my work. I can be proud of myself. I can be proud of my achievements. I can even be proud of my setbacks that have propelled me into more success, better, right? But it doesn't mean I am arrogant. That's a completely different thing. And if anything, if we're frowning upon anything, it's the vice that is arrogance. Because then it is something that could harm you, but also harm other people. But I see nothing wrong with a person who is aware of who they are and proud of who they are, proud of the work they do, proud of the results they get, proud of the achievements they have. You understand? Even proud of the relationships that they have, proud of the friendship groups that they are part of, proud of the people that they care about. I really don't see anything wrong with that. What we should maybe raise eyebrows on is arrogance, and that's a completely different thing from being proud of who you are and all of those things.
You people have chosen to shake more than tables today.
She broke the table I'm sitting on and I don't like it. She woke up and chose violence.
Tables, the chairs, the decoration, everything.
Start calling me that anti-humility ambassador.
Love it. No, but I think it's so important that you brought that up, because pride, we automatically like you said, we conflate pride and humility and
arrogance.
And we just mix it and match it and bumble it and jump it and put it in a box and then just pull it out and don't even look at what is what. So it's like, you can, like you said, I'm just going to mirror exactly what you said. You can be proud of exactly who you are and exactly how far you've come, but that doesn't mean that you are arrogant about it. And even then, it's funny because I feel like a lot of the time when women are proud of who they are, it's automatically conflated to arrogance. But when women are arrogant, it's looked at as pride, and it's looked at as something worth emulating, and it's looked at as something that's, that's cool and that's sexy.
All of it, Dal, is exhausting. It is exhausting.
I can't relate.
But yeah.
I can't relate.
We're doing better. Hadi and I are trying to do better.
No, even me. I mean, I say all of this, but it's not like I've really arrived at that point. Because even now, and I know one of the people that calls me out on this a lot is IJ. IJ is always dragging me, like, that girl, I should eliminate her from my life. IJ is always dragging me. She's always like, why do you have to worry? Why do you have to bother? Why aren't you talking about this, Jama? Why aren't you celebrating it? You understand? So she's basically like, she's the police for all of that. If anything, she's my accountability officer when it comes to this. But I feel like I have done the work to get to a place where I'm really not bothered. I'm going to celebrate myself loud and proud for what I want. And if I want to do a quiet celebration with the people who are closest to me, I will do that as well. But that humble thing, selling it, no. Nobody's buying it, so stop selling it.
Do humble people win?
I don't know. Ask them.
Hadi, do you win?
Is Honey humble?
About that.
Is Honey humble?
I think back in my young and foolish days when I used to think that humility was the way to go, I wouldn't call it winning because I was limiting myself so much.
Yep.
But now that I know that the earth is mine and the heavens are mine and the sun and the sky and everything is mine and I can do as I please. I don't think that I was winning then, but now you can't tell me nothing.
Exactly.
I believe in my source. I believe in my power. I believe in my abilities. Amen.
The Gambian humility, that. Madam. No, seriously. Because I feel like we can talk about humility as a value, right? And with a lot of things, obviously, you could look at the duality. What's good about it? What's bad about it? And I think for me, basically what we're saying is not humility is bad, completely cut it off and all. Like humility as is, as it's supposed to be. For us, it's really just the performance. Had them off for me. Wow. It's really the performance of humility that ends up being everything but humility.
I think you're right. There's humility and there's performance of
Those
humility.
are the two things. So for me, my problem is with the performance of humility.
I think humility as a
Could
trait
be a virtue.
it is a virtue.
Yeah.
It's a trait you're born with.
It's natural.
Yeah,
so it
it's
comes back to
natural.
that.
Yeah, there are people in your family, people like me. Humility is not in us at all. We're arrogant. We're rude. Yes, everything. And there are people who are just born with it. That's who they are. When you see them, even without speaking to them, you see them and you see it in them. You don't even need to know what kind of person this. Like, you don't need to know them personally, but you can see it in them. And then there's the other category. People like Hadisise who love to perform humility. Yes.
Allah.
Anyway.
I am humbled. I am humbled to have been.
Anyway.
My goodness. No, for me, I think it's really important that we make that distinction, because quite easily people just misinterpret also. But yeah, I think it's really important that we just clarify that, because I feel like it can be very easily misinterpreted, and that is also where all of it is lost, where we're not even seeking to understand, what the explanations are. So humility as is a virtue. Yeah. You understand? As it comes to you naturally. What I think is problematic is the performance of humility. Yep. Well, and people can tell, because how long can you keep up a performance? You understand? At some point your costume will slip. And that's where everything gets revealed. What really is the end goal? What's the point? I think this is what we need to ask ourselves. Come to the world as you are. Come to the world as your true, authentic self. So people are going to accept it. People are not going to accept it. You are who you are. As long as you're comfortable with who you are. And again, it comes back to Tedanelo. You understand? That's what it comes back to. So come as your true, authentic self, because that is not going to change. So close a performance. That's the person that you're going to come back to. So why not just appear as that person? Why not just present yourself as that person?
But I don't know. I think it's possible that people play humility to avoid the evil eye, right?
Oh, that's a Gambian thing.
Chat, because Gambians really believe in chat, and yeah, we're not also saying that chat doesn't exist. Chat does exist, and the wall of say chat dina topan it sah besi bamelam. But damn it,
Yalla
dafa am de, and Yalla gave us Ayatul Kursi for a reason. Like, he gave you Ayatul Kursi for a reason. He gave you Ikhlas and Falaq and Nas for a reason. He gave you means to protect yourself from chat. Every day you wake up, Nyan Yalla Musalla si chat. Do your prayers, whatever. And then celebrate yourself.
I want to add to that, because I think you can come on social media and celebrate your win and then end the post with "I'm humble." That doesn't mean that you're humble, and that doesn't mean you're staying away from the evil eye.
Goes back to the performance. I think when I talk about the evil eye, I mean like people in your hamne, you would literally never ever hear them celebrate anything. And yes, that's a personal choice. You have a choice to do that. But if the reason you're doing that is because yange daw chat, like, at what point do you feel good about yourself?
Because for me, the way I
and the celebration doesn't even have to be public.
Exactly.
Yes, like we don't mean them on Facebook or Twitter or whatever. The celebration doesn't have to be public, but there are people who literally do not celebrate anything they have because they're afraid if they even acknowledge that they have that, the ball would drop, or the other shoe would drop, and then ñu ñàkk yip. Like,
and you know what?
yeah.
And you know what? The thing is, Sunny, even if you decide not to celebrate, like, there's so many different categories when it comes to the evil eye. There's like, someone that's actively wanting something against you.
Yeah.
But then there's also I can come to Jama right now and I can tell her something great happened. So you can go to a close person and tell them that something great has happened. And they don't even have to be envious of you. They don't even have to look at you a bad way for there still to be. I don't know if what I'm saying makes sense. So regardless of whether you're being open and public or you're trying to diminish or anything, lu wara xew dafa xew.
Exactly.
So TLC yàlla
ñu ne naka lu yàlla binda sa jébi moom foog mu dal la.
And the way I see it sometimes, I feel like that playing small as well is just really not taking the time to appreciate those blessings. So yeah, chat is real. Evil eye is real, right? It is as real can get. But Mandamade always wanted, I believe in a higher power as well that has the ability to protect me from everything, right? And linga wax la rek lu wara am dafa am, lu waruta am, dara du tax be mo am. So for me, I also see, like, for me it's like sometimes I see celebrating myself and my wins as a form of worship, because it's like I am returning thanks to the Almighty that has made it possible for me. You understand? So when I do that, I am seeing it as a form of worship. That I am able to acknowledge the blessings that have come to me, and celebrate them and return all gratitude to the one who made it possible.
Didn't you used to say gratitude is a prayer?
It is a prayer. For me, gratitude is a prayer, and this is something that I believe. Gratitude is my biggest prayer, because that is where I find the greatest humility. If anything, for me, it is in expressing gratitude, whether to God or to human beings. That's where I find the greatest humility, because there's a lot of humility that comes with acknowledging that I have this, but it is not all about me. There is this person that helped me to get here. That is humility. There's humility in recognizing that. There's humility in recognizing I got these blessings, but I did not give these blessings to myself. You understand? Yala mama johli, mama hiwalelini. And I come into that humility of acknowledging that and celebrating it.
So, Ngo, what is one win you want to celebrate?
So,
loudest.
Okay, so when I was at the CRC, right, we had the Constitution and Report Writing Committee, basically the committee that was responsible for drafting the Constitution, and I was honored to be made a part of the committee. Like I said, as their secretary. And at that time, or when we were doing the work and when we published, I felt like, okay, maybe this is just my job, this is what I was hired to do, or part of what I was hired to do, so this is not something that I'm supposed to celebrate like that. But now looking back at things now, like whether the draft constitution is passed or not, I can always look at it and the report and the explanatory memorandum and say, like, I typed that. Yes, so like that's something I can look at from now till eternity and say, yes, I typed every single word in that draft constitution. It took hours and hours of work and endless meetings and whatnot, but like I did that. I contributed to the report and, typing, formatting. I contributed to the explanatory memorandum. Like, whether these things become law, whether the draft constitution becomes law or not, till eternity, that's something that nobody can take away from me. And I think that's something I should celebrate. I should have celebrated. And, it's never too late. I'm choosing to celebrate now. Whenever you open the draft constitution and you read it, know that this woman here, Jeng, she typed it, she proofread, went to the printers, proofread, just to show that, I have to say this. My boss actually made me a special copy because he appreciated my work so much.
With
so
your
yes,
name on
with
it.
my name on it,
Nyutaka Kobo.
Nyutaka Kobo, and yes, shout outs to him. She's my cheerleader. You know what's funny? Like today is we had like an anniversary call to bar, and I was going through my pictures, right? And I saw this picture where she was there hugging me and crying. I was like, oh, look at my cheerleader. She's my biggest fan.
We are not here to embarrass one another.
But yes, that is what I would celebrate, that I typed the draft constitution Word for word, I did that. Thank you.
Who can say they did that? No one.
Nobody. Not this 2020 draft constitution. No.
Nope.
No. Anyway.
Love it. Dama, what about you? What are you celebrating?
Humble for what?
Maybe it's... I'll give you suggestions.
I have 2. Can I do 2?
Yes. Do as many as you want.
So the first one, so we're still in a pandemic, right? And in 2020, so 2029, I stepped into a
20
job.
what?
20. So in 2019, I stepped into a role, like really huge, head of communications at MRC. And 2020, the pandemic decided to make an appearance, right? And in that year, I know I am an amazing comms person, right? I know my stuff.
Yes.
And I know I deliver
We
on
know.
my stuff, right? But 2020 was like, you know what? And it came at a time when I was sitting there like questioning my abilities, questioning my results, even though I know exactly what I have changed there and how much I have changed. But 2020 was like, here's another opportunity for you to snap out of this rut that you have put yourself in and show the world. And I did just that, handling communications during a pandemic for a health institution.
Keeping the whole country informed. Keeping all of us informed.
Like that was huge. And it wasn't just, okay, I am doing this. It's also managing a team. It's managing and exceeding expectations on what we can produce, what we can create, constantly creating materials in record time. I did that.
You did
and
that.
I had to come to the realization. I mean, I suffered from burnout. I got really exhausted sometimes. I got super frustrated sometimes. But every time I pause and think about everything we did in that time, and even still as we're still doing now, I am like, Salohoy, good enough for you to pat yourself in the back.
Yes.
So do it.
Yes.
The second one, because my name opal. The second one is really with Mibet. I consider Mibet my baby, right? Because when I wrote that story in 2012, I did not imagine it was gonna get here. And I feel like Mibet also came to me as a gift and a reminder of just how talented I am.
Yes.
Across so many different fields, because I know like for a long time I was only just focused on writing for my blog. I would have people send me messages, write me emails and say, I want you to write for this and write for that, but I was always running away from those opportunities. And Mibet came and showed me, hey, you can move from writing on lingerb.wordpress.com to writing for the big screen, and that is what we did. But beyond writing, I think the biggest success for me has been coming into film with no connects, not a lot of experience in that area, and being able to market the film independently and securing 10 official selections for festivals in our first year. I don't think people understand how huge
and taking the
is.
time to make all those submissions.
I can't even say how much time I've spent my money. How much time and money I've spent. But for me, like, I do it from a place of understanding just how much further I can take my craft. And how much change my writing can create, and how much it can inspire, and how much it is needed, but also how much my communications and marketing and publicity and PR expertise is needed in the film industry in the Gambia, and I am bringing it.
And we would not let you rest until you stop slaving for other people and start that business.
It's coming. It's coming. I am here for it. And I think with Mibet, basically, it opened up the opportunity for the Face project, which is a mini documentary project that I'm going to be working on. So that's also something that I'm really, really celebrating. It's basically getting myself outside of that box where I'm thinking, this is where I am going to limit my writing. And reminding myself, you can be bigger than this. You can write for TV. You can write for the big screen. You can write for cinema. You can write for theater. You can write. I wrote for theater, of course, with Black Magic. But this is even bigger. And it's the reactions I get when people. I remember this selection for Cinema Fam. And I think that highlights everything for me. So initially our film was not selected because one of the requirements is that it has to be directed by a woman. But they watched the film and they were so compelled, they were so moved by the story. They wrote an email to me and said, we could not select your film because of this one reason, but we want to do an interview with you because we just don't want this to move away from our festival. So I said, okay, we can discuss this. We get on a call, and by the end of that call, she's like, I am giving you an official selection. And even though we can't put you in the main competition because it's for female directors, we are giving you a spotlight showcase on the festival. And beyond that, an interview and a Q&A for you to showcase. And it's really coming from a place of, we love the story because you're sharing a story that's not just a story, it's a message that everyone needs to hear. And for me, just hearing that was like, ooh. So beyond just writing the story, it's like you made the right decision by clicking submit on this festival. And for me, like, yeah, maybe it has been major win since Skitby has become something huge.
Love to see it. Love to see it.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
Over to you, Dr. Cisse.
Hadi, what are we celebrating?
I mean, honestly, I think for me, I have been overworking myself, and I don't give myself enough credit for that. Because in the past, I even made a list of all the hats I have been wearing in the past year or so. And for one person, honestly, like I said, I'm patting myself on the back because for one person to be able to do all of that at the same time is a lot.
Yeah.
So here I am as a full-time PhD student. I am also, running my little skincare business. I am also doing like public health consultancies full-time. I am an undergrad lecturer. I'm supervising a master's student. I'm our PhD student rep. And, having to, and I'm sure there's stuff I'm forgetting at the same.
Sister, friend, all of those, yeah.
You left out heart.
Yes.
No, but that's also part of the consultant.
No, but you need to mention it.
Specifically.
Because specifically, you're doing great things with heart or for heart. So
let's
hear it.
And I'm humble for what again comes
yes.
in.
Yes.
Because I'm leaving all of this out. And I also, like, the last year, towards the end of the year, I landed, I guess, a major consultancy. Like, a major financial consultancy. And consultancy financial-wise. And I'm really, really proud of that. And I know I did amazing work on that. And sometimes I even say, I don't know how I have 24 hours in the day.
We wonder
because there's so much I'm doing. And also this podcast is something I'm very, very proud of.
Yes!
So to be able to do all of that and to still be able to be a boss at it. And, because I know, like, with everyone that I'm not just saying it because I know that I know that I'm amazing. MashaAllah, God bless. But to always get positive feedback from the people that I'm working with that, I know that I'm doing something good. And I really I look forward to being able to do more and being able to be better at my craft and just being able, being a better writer, being a better consultant, being a better everything. I really, really, really look forward to it. And, one day even Gemma will hire me to help her with the script writing.
We're out here.
Yep.
I'm
manifesting, I'm putting it out there. If I put it on the podcast, you can't say no because now everyone will hear that I've said it.
One day one day it's like over there, like over there. Yeah. We're doing this and we're doing it soon.
Yeah, we're manifesting more success in everything we touch, everything we do. Mujik ñu yàlla musal ñu ci cat ak seytaane ak bët bu bon làmmiñ bu bon noon yu nu roog soppe musiba ak balaa yépp lépp lu bon daal dinañ ci yàlla musal daal yàlla aar ñu sàmm ñu yàlla ñun daal dénk nañ la suñ boppa ñu ngi nii.
Here we are, take us with our lack of humility.
Listeners, please, I'm actually begging you, please let us know what you're proud of. We all want to read your success stories. We want to be motivated by them. We want to learn from them. We want to connect with them. I think, it's really, really great. And I think we need to stop faking humble. And just accept that we are amazing and we work hard and we deserve to celebrate our successes.
And I don't know, just to add, I don't think it has to be something that society thinks or society defines as success. As long as it's something you're proud of doing, let us know.
Share it with us, put it on the hashtag MussoPod, and we will celebrate you.
Given that we are being pressed in this panini press, your accomplishment doesn't have to be much. Even if it's that you decided to take a shower today, that's a huge thing.
Yes.
So we want to hear everything, no matter how small it ranges from, no matter how big it is. Please let us know. We want to celebrate you.
As long as it's important to you, share it.
We'll love to see it.
Humble Forward gang.
So, over to Yungo for Musso of the Week.
Yes. Okay, I think this would be a perfect way to close off this Humble Forward episode. So, serious voice. Listeners, ladies and gentlemen, the winner, the Musso
is showing.
Hey, the bite it. Our dear beautiful listeners. So, our dear beautiful listeners, the Musso of the week. I have to change my voice because it's such an important section. Anyway, so the Musso of the week, or the Mussos, yes, this week it's Mussos of the week. The Mussos of the week are, drum roll, Jama Jack, Hadijatu Sise, and of course Ndengone Jeng Jabayai Bayam Jabayai Bur. Yes. Yes, you heard us right. We chose ourselves as Musso of the week. Why? Because we did this. Because we did Musso podcast. Because we've been working on this for months. And, a lot of work has gone into it. A lot of thinking, production meetings, whatever, running around, duga figi na fele. And now here we are with our Musso podcast airing every week. And in addition to everything else that we've mentioned, this is something we're celebrating. So yes, we are your Mussos of the week because we're awesome, we're great, we're smart, we're intelligent. Mashallah. Yes, and we did it.
And by extension, sending a lot of love to the two people who also help us to make this happen.
Yes.
So Aissatou Suare, government name.
Susie baby.
Aida Susie and Aissatou Jallo. They're both Aissatou.
Yeah.
So Aissatou Suare, that's Aida Susie, and Aissatou Jallo, Elite Shah. I call them our accessibility officers because they're the ones who are helping us to make this podcast accessible, handling, transcribing all of the things we say for all of these long episodes and turning them into, so a lot of love to all of us. We're doing this. It's an amazing space. The conversations are absolutely amazing. But a lot of production work happens in the background. And yes, we're absolutely proud of it.
I said, y'all had me up at 5 this morning.
For a meeting, a production meeting. Can you imagine?
I was in a car on my way to work.
I was at the
and Maximo to be, and everyone it was a taxi, right? So all the other people in the taxi were just looking at me. So I'm like, you people don't even know what's up. But yes, Musso of the week, it's to the Musso production team and our accessibility officers, Susie, Elicha. We appreciate you. We love you. And to ourselves, I'm telling myself I love you and I appreciate you.
Let's keep this.
Yes. I love yourself. I appreciate yourself.
No, I love this. But thank you. I think, yes, after all of this, we would really, really love to thank you for tuning in every week, for being here with us, going on this journey with us. And as usual, send us your questions, comments, feedback. If you have any comments on the Humble Forward, in addition to sharing your success stories, send us your comments. And, we're open to listening to criticism on how to make this better. So thank you for coming with us on this Humble Forward journey this week. And we hope that you would tune in next week.
We know they will tune in next week because, have you heard this? Have you heard the Musso podcast? I'm trying to really manifest the Humble Forward persona, but thank you all so much for taking this journey with us, for always listening, always sending in your feedback. We really, really, really love getting your feedback. So connect with us. Let's engage. Let's continue the conversations. We're on social media everywhere. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram as Musso Podcast. Musso is Musso Podcast, and we'll be happy to connect with you. So let's keep the conversation going. Let's engage.
Thank you again to Right Click for helping us out with the production, with everything, and just for being so amazing and patient with us. And
Patience.
I hope patience is a virtue. That's the virtue that we need to be upholding. But I hope everyone has a great week. And again, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for inviting us into your homes, into your phones, onto your laptops, onto everywhere. We appreciate you and we love you. And I love you both, Jama and Gone.
We
love you more.
Have a good one, guys. Bye.
Bye.